My name is Leo Connors, and welcome to the ring and all other sports. Tonight, I think making his fourth appearance.
Third, I believe.
Third appearance. Professional wrestler Joey Kilmartin. But you ain't wrestling much lately, but you.
No, I would say
did.
former professional wrestler at this point.
All right, we'll go former professional wrestler.
I don't like to use the word retired.
All right.
It was always said to me one time by, I think DC and Dylan just said, you can't retire from something you didn't make money from.
I think you said that to me before that DC said that.
Which is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, he made money, but it's still, you'd see a lot of guys.
You were pretty good friends with DC, huh?
Yeah, I was lucky to be around him. And, you know, I wouldn't say his final years. I mean, his final years, but I would say I met him 5 or 6 years prior to his death. But you know what I mean? He was definitely good to me and a lot of the Bell Time kids when we were younger.
Did you ever go to any of his Christmas parties?
Yes.
I was going to say, because I heard they're legendary.
Luckily enough, he I was probably far too young to be there, but he came up to me one day, probably a week before Christmas, and he said, I'm having a party, Christmas. You know, it'll be at night, so you don't have to miss your family. Don't dress like an idiot. Look good. And bring something.
Right.
And, you know, he was very blunt, but I remember somebody said to me, like, you know, you should consider that a blessing that Dave invited you. He doesn't invite many people that he doesn't know that well. But so that's when I knew that Dave liked me. Definitely a good time. I had been to his house plenty of times after the Christmas party. Every time. I mean, granted, the Christmas party was a gathering of people that, you know, but anytime you were at Dave's house, it was a good time. Anytime you were in the ring with him, you were a little more motivated to work harder. Great guy. Great guy. Terrible that he passed. I think that he's somebody that deserved more than he got in the business, for sure. Yeah. I think that anytime I've been on here, I've said that. I would never say enough good things about Dave. Right. But, you know, he would be mad that you know, he liked to keep that persona that he was, but he was a gentle giant. He really was.
He liked to keep that, like, I'm a prick persona.
Yeah. It's, to see a softer side of him for the first few times definitely threw me off, but you know, there was a good guy behind that. You know, I don't know what I can say for swears.
Yeah, no, try not
that a-hole. there was a good guy behind him. You know, it was definitely a good heart.
He was definitely the best heel I've seen in independent wrestling.
Yeah. That's because it wasn't far off from who he was.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He just had to not like you.
Yep.
If he didn't like you, it wasn't a good guy to be around, and he could pretend that he didn't like somebody for the sake of a good promo.
Yep. And him and Eddie's theme song was sabotaged by the Beastie Boys, which is an incredible song.
Yes. Yep.
You know?
Great. Yeah. Any Beastie Boys song was... Even if a lot of people don't realize, but Nunzio used the No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Oh, that's right.
In WWE.
Yeah.
It was just a tweaked version.
Right,
but,
right.
You know, any Beastie Boys song would be good for ring music.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into this. Some fan questions. Joshua Berube, how was Vegas? Kick that.
It was, Vegas was I just got back, I think, 2 nights ago. I'm finally back on my sleep schedule. I took a red eye back, but went out for I met a lot of people out there for the game. It was
what game?
The Patriots game, Raiders game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun few days. It's definitely a wild city. You can't spend too much time there.
Right. Did you go alone?
Huh? I ended up flying out to go to the game. I met some friends, went to the game. Everybody left on Tuesday. I ended up flying out Thursday. I was going to fly out Wednesday, but I stayed an extra night, which is never a bad thing when you're in Vegas. It's a good sign. But, I was planning on flying out Friday. And then I woke up on Thursday, and I was like, it's time to go home.
Right.
We've had enough of this city. And like I said, everybody had flown home at that point, and I had seen everything I wanted to see in the city. So I was only going to lose more money at that point. It's a hell of a city, though. Anybody who hasn't been...
I haven't. I can't wait.
Oh, you've never been?
Nope.
Yeah, you should definitely go.
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely, pace yourself. It's a city that... You can see how you can get in a lot of trouble there. But luckily, I'm older, wiser, smarter, and I like to more... enjoy watching the idiots than participating in being the idiot.
To participate in being an idiot.
Don't get me wrong. I've partaken in being an idiot
me too.
times than I can count. But, I'm a father now. Those days are behind me.
Right.
But it was still a city that I would love to adventure in again.
Right.
I think I'm going to head out to either Austin, Texas, or LA in a few weeks, and
Nice.
just keep exploring.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. All right. Now, you like indie wrestling. Wait, I should say you like a little indie wrestling.
I do. Indie wrestling's hard.
All right.
I've said to somebody recently that indie or any form of wrestling done bad can be the worst form of entertainment.
Right.
Can be so cringeworthy, but when done right, it can also be the most beautiful way to tell a story.
Yep.
I'm sure you are alluding to the fact that I really only watch deathmatch wrestling.
Well, you don't go to many. You do go to some. I will say that because I've seen you at them.
Yeah, I mean, I will attend. If I'm in the area, I'll definitely stop by a show.
But Beyond, that's a little bit different than a regular indie, you know, because they got some names sometimes, you know. And Alec Price is absolutely
I
killing
love
it
Alec.
there.
Alec's one of
Dude,
the.
he's killing it.
He's killing it everywhere he goes. I'm so
absolutely.
proud to see he's a bell time kid from the start, and anytime I see somebody from the bell time doing good, it's great to see. But you know, we still talk every once in a while, and he is he's a funny kid. He's he's one of the only kids that can get away with calling me Bieber, and he knows that.
Yeah,
there's few people left that can. But he's definitely
an awesome kid, man. He really is.
Yeah, like I said, he has a good future in this business.
Yeah,
every time I've asked him something, he's had his head screwed on straight. Yep. Great answer. He's on the right path and being guided by the right people.
Absolutely.
But as far as like indie shows around here, there's not much that piques my interest.
Right.
I almost feel like when I want to see a show, I like to escape away. So if I'm going to go to a show, I go to a lot of the Game Changer wrestling shows. I'll go down to Atlantic City.
Yep.
It's just, it checks a lot of the boxes that I want. You know, I can go to New Jersey and it's right on the beach. There's casinos everywhere. Anybody that knows me knows I love a casino. So you can watch people smash each other with light tubes, be at a buffet in a casino in 3 minutes.
Right.
It's not a bad place for me to go and hang out
free
for a
buffet,
weekend.
Right?
It depends where you're staying. If you're staying at the Hard Rock, I usually stay right at the Showboat.
Yeah.
Stay at Airbnb depending on the season, but you know, it's definitely a good place. And the thing with GCW is it kind of has that vibe. Like you're old enough to have gone to some ECW shows, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, I never had the privilege to go to an ECW show, and it kind of has that feeling of that underground. You know. Things are a little more hardcore and edgy. And the first show I ever went to for them was actually at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Okay. Yeah, no, that and Ring of Honor was like that for me too. I went to the first show in Massachusetts.
Yeah, their first show was,
and I was like, man, how can I be a part of this?
It's
you know,
definitely,
and I was like, food.
It's definitely different.
Right.
It's hard to stand out in wrestling, and I've said that for years now, but they've, you know, granted, they have people that are willing to near kill themselves for your entertainment. That's definitely a huge plus. But you know, it's a niche, and it stands out in wrestling, which is hard to do these days.
Right. Now, there's another new company out by that area, the New Jersey area, called WIN. If I'm not mistaken, it's being run by the SAT.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know you're a big SAT fan.
They're real good guys, man. Yeah. They really are.
I've only ever seen them really work for GCW. I think I've seen a few matches. I've seen their early Ring of Honor stuff.
Yeah. They were awesome. They're real. I mean,
they're
like how you said Dave was good to you. Those guys were like phenomenal. They came up to do a big time wrestling show. Okay. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna go." And he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you." So I come in with Fornia, and all of a sudden I hear my name. And it's Joel Maximo, and he's calling me over. And he's like, "Take a shirt, any shirt you want for free." I'm like, "What?" You know, good people.
They're good. That's
good
awesome.
People.
They're good guys. They remember the people.
They appreciated what I did years ago, and they wanted to give me something.
Yep. You've been around those guys for 20, 25 years now.
Absolutely.
If you think back, when was the first Ring of Honor show? It had to be
2002.
So it was, 21 years ago at this point?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And I mean, I got to meet a lot of guys that I become friendly with. I'm not going to say I'm friends with, but friendly with.
But no, I've been to shows. They definitely recognize you. You definitely have made your mark in.
Well, it's funny. I'll tell you real quick. But Samoa Joe, me and Maria would catering for Jersey All Pro in Massachusetts.
Was this the show with Matt Hardy?
No, that was the ROH show.
No, there was a Jersey All Pro show with Matt Hardy.
Maybe.
Because I remember when I was like 12.
That wasn't the one where Hogan had flipped his table over, right? No, that was a Ring of Honor show because I catered that one.
Yeah, there was a Jersey All Pro show, and I only remember because I went, and it was right when Matt Hardy was fired in between that leader thing. And
but now that I'm saying, I don't know if it was Ring of Honor or I think it was Ring of Honor because I catered both Jersey All Pro shows. I got them through Hanson and Homicide.
Okay. Yep.
You know.
Yep. So, but no, that's the only time I'd ever seen the Jersey All Pro show. I know they tried to make a comeback a few years ago. Didn't the promoter just recently pass away?
Yeah,
or something like that?
Frank passed away. Yeah, so I guess it would have to be Pierre. Johnny D, the manager.
Okay. Speaking of promoters that passed away, I don't want the time to slip away before we mention Dan Marotti, which was people don't really realize how much of a loss to New England wrestling it was.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
he did a lot for wrestling.
He got a lot of crap for a lot of different reasons, and anybody that knew him, some of it was warranted.
Right.
He was a unique guy, but he gave a lot of guys an opportunity to work in front of big crowds for the first time, with names for the first time.
He booked names.
Yeah, it was definitely a unique locker room. I can remember having no business being in a locker room with Paul Bearer.
Right, yeah.
And then, he would, a lot of the times if you were nice to him, he would take us out to the Kowloon after, you know what I mean? So you're sitting there out to dinner with these people you had no business being out to dinner with, but it was a good opportunity to meet and talk, and even if you didn't get to work with them in the ring that night, like every time I did a Dan Marotti show, there was a seminar with somebody offered for free if you were on the show.
like a Jay Lethal or a Homicide or someone like that from that area.
Even being booked on the shows to get that for free was worth that experience. You know what I mean? He always made it worth it.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't making $100, you know what I mean? It was worth your time to go and be on that show. And he didn't. I remember the way it was a funny story. The way he originally booked me was, I was just helping him out, set up the night before, and he had mentioned that he needed somebody to pick up. I believe it was Rich Swann from the airport. So we picked up Rich Swann, and I had cut somebody off. And, the guy had flipped me off, and I flipped him off, and he was like, I like you. You to stick up for yourself. And then right after that, like 2 minutes later, he was like, do you want to work on the show tomorrow? And I was like, I'd love to. That was just the first time I got booked for MWF,
awesome.
You know what I mean? And who knows, if I had never flipped the guy off.
Yeah.
But he was that type of guy that...
I like Rich Swann. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler.
This was probably 2012, 13 before he blew up.
Right.
But it was really cool because he was a really nice guy. He came in and, we kind of bonded over how much we were laughing about Dan Marotti.
Right.
Like, this guy's kind of, you know what I mean, weird. But I remember he took the time to watch my match and give me advice on it.
That's cool.
And we stayed in touch for a year or two following, and anytime I'd have a question about something, or I went down to New Jersey, we bumped into each other a few times. He got me into a Dragon Gate seminar right before one of the WrestleManias in New York. Yeah. So he was always... It was a good person. But like I said, you met people through Dan Marotti. It was a good place to expand your network.
Yeah.
And I don't think people gave that the credit in New England.
No, you're absolutely right. He really should get some recognition because he put on good shows. Really.
He did. They were quality shows
good workers.
when there wasn't a lot around, too. Right. Now it's kind of at a different place than it was in 2006, 2007. But there was nobody bringing in. I can remember when I was a kid going to his shows, you would see all the TNA superstars.
Yes.
There was no way.
Chris Sabin.
Yeah, you'd see, and they'd book him in good matches. You'd see Jay Lethal, Chris Sabin.
Yeah, you'd see against each other.
Homicide, Abyss, you know what I mean? He would bring in former WWE names. He had contacts, too, with, like, I remember one time, one of the first shows I ever did working security for him, it had Bryan Danielson as the United States champion.
Wow.
On his show. So it shows that he was making connections. Everybody think Chaotic was the only one with WWE connections.
Right.
But I can even remember dumb things where, like, I was driving to was driving in New York one time, and he was like, I might need you to pick up a bunch of T-shirts from the headquarters for me, if you wouldn't mind. And it's just like, why are they giving you 4 boxes of T-shirts?
Hey.
But you know what I mean? You don't ask questions.
Right.
You just realize that he's making the right connections. And I don't think a lot of people, like I said, gave him that credit.
Right. And he booked the top guys around here, too, though. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like he brought in names and anybody he booked. He always had Slick on the show.
Slick.
Dylan Cage.
Ciampa. Dylan Cage.
Incredible.
And that was the other thing. Dylan Cage wasn't somebody that was oversaturated in New England.
No, that was pretty much the only place he was working.
So, I believe he was a South Carolina guy, if I'm
he definitely lived down by that area, But he's incredible.
Yeah.
Isaiah was petrified of that guy.
Exactly.
Well, because he'd put that contacts in.
I was, that reminds me of, I was scared of Louis Ortiz as a kid.
Oh!
Deathly afraid of Louis Ortiz. And then,
Isaiah was scared of Chainsaw Charlie. You know who that is, right?
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah,
He was petrified of him. I'm like, come on, I'll bring you over to meet him. He's a nice guy. And Jai's like,
But, no, that's definitely, a lot of people, like I said, sleep on the fact that it was a different time, too. Like, wrestling nowadays is so different.
Right.
In New England, there's a lot of people don't realize it was kind of a dead zone from 2000 and I don't know, before 2001. I really started seeing indie wrestling in 2003, but 2003 to 2000 until about Mercedes getting signed.
Okay.
It was really known as a dead zone. There wasn't a lot going on, and then Beyond kind of kicked up the attention on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I think things have kind of changed since Beyond. You have Limitless came into play, and now a lot of more credible companies are spending money.
Yes.
Then
Limitless is a great company. I've only been to one show, so I'm not saying it by like experience.
Yep.
It's what I hear.
Well, Maine
and Randy does a great job.
I think Randy went into it, and this is not anybody's words but my own, but I think he went into it with the idea to change the perception of Maine wrestling.
Well, yeah.
Because it was bad. Maine wrestling had a bad stigma for a long time, and I'll be honest, rightfully so. There wasn't a lot of good things to come out of Maine. You'd get those random Fandangos or Luke Robinsons, you know what I mean? But there wasn't a lot to come out of Maine.
And Larry runs there. He runs the fairs and all that.
But even that, as great as Larry's shows are, they're very niche. Like, if you've ever been to Larry's shows, like he does a bar in Gino's, which, it's not even about the great wrestling. It's about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've heard about good times at Gino's, Yeah,
it's about the atmosphere.
Right.
And where Limitless, it's about the quality of the workers and the wrestling.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with either show.
No, not at all.
There's a difference between a fair show and a super indie show.
Right.
And who's the market you're catering. The same people that are stopping by to watch a match at the fair are not necessarily going to care if you've spent the money to bring in, Alec Price versus Alex Shelley or something that. You know what I mean? You can get the same reaction out of local worker A versus local worker B.
Right.
But you can't sell that to a market that's looking for a super indie match.
Right.
So he's definitely done a great job of bringing quality wrestling to Maine.
Excellent.
And it makes sense because there's not a lot of entertainment in Maine.
Right.
So why not have good wrestling?
I mean, I know that Maine, they got the hockey, the colleges, which is really good. But do they even have a pro team up in Maine, like a minor league pro team?
I think that they have the Portland Sea Dogs, which are the division of the Red Sox.
Okay. Oh, that's baseball. But I'm talking hockey. Sorry, I didn't specify.
I think hockey does have a minor league team, but like I said, Maine is so big too.
It is big.
That a lot of people don't realize Bangor and Portland, that's 4 hours away. That's almost, you know what I mean?
That's insane.
So
that's that.
A lot of people don't travel either.
Right.
So he travels around Maine, brings the product to everywhere. It's definitely a good thing for New England.
Absolutely. Now, we got a few more fan questions. Bare Knuckle Burley, do you look back and wish you had concentrated on being a referee like was suggested to you by older, wiser veterans?
10 years ago, the answer is absolutely no.
Right, because you wanted to wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in this for money, then sure. Right. I think that if I had gone the money route, then I absolutely think I could make money as a referee.
Right.
To this day, I think I could make money as a referee. I'm the perfect size for it. It's not, I wouldn't say it's an easy job, but I have an understanding of it. I could, you know what I mean? I could definitely do it. It was never what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't, I'd have rather just not gone to the show. My problem with the big thing that stopped me from wrestling or ever getting further was I got to a point where I hated, and to this day I hate it regardless of what it is. I'm a very spur of the moment guy.
Yeah.
So I hate saying to you, hey, on the 19th, I'm going to be in this point, Maine, or this point, New Jersey, because the 18th would come and I would be like, I don't want to do it.
I don't want to go.
And it wasn't even, no matter, even if I wanted to do it, it was the fact that I knew I had to.
Yeah.
That made me not want to. And maybe that's just being young and stubborn.
Yeah.
But I like doing what I want when I want. Like, if I decided to wake up on a Saturday and could text a promoter and say, do you need a referee? That's something I would do to this day. You know what I mean? But that was the big reason I never got into wrestling. But as far as, it's going to come off probably a little rude, but I don't think it was ever anybody wiser that would say that I should referee, because it's like, there's plenty of people my size that have made money. I think that anybody that ever thought I should referee was just a cop-out and thought that it was the easier road. I'm sure that if I had put money in, or time and effort, I could have made money.
Right.
I don't know. It wasn't, to me, the wiser decision. It would have been the easier route.
Right.
And I've never taken the easier route in life.
Okay, well, he has a follow-up, not a question now. He said, which could have given you a career in wrestling? Sometimes I think about that for myself also, he said. Just so he wasn't just saying you. He was saying about himself, too.
A lot of people say, like, being a referee is definitely, it's funny, like I said.
What's the name? Made a career out of it, right? Bennett? Was it Matt Bennett, Sean Bennett?
There's Mike Bennett, and then Danny E., who was one of the Blowout Boys.
Yes.
He was about my size. He became a referee.
Yep.
And a lot of people, I don't know if they remember, he only did a lot of house shows, but Guido Nunzio, he went back in 2018 and 19, and he did a lot of house shows as a referee.
Oh, wow.
And
he was never that big, too, so I mean, it makes sense.
Me and him,
a good rep. Any wrestler would be a good rep, though. You know the rules.
Well, he told me the way it started with him was basically they needed him for a Madison Square Garden show where there was a snowstorm.
Okay.
So he pretty much, they called him and said, we could use any hands we could. He got there and somebody decided, you haven't wrestled in 10 years. Nobody will recognize you, referee. He did such a good job that they let him ref on house shows for 2 years, make some money. And I remember he told me, he was like, I had no problem doing it. It was a good paycheck every weekend. He goes, I was able to work my Monday through Friday job and then fly out to wherever the house shows were, do the house show loop. And he's like, I worked hard for 2 years, but it was fun. I was around the boys. And I think that was a lot of what Barry was alluding to. Like, it was a good way to be around the boys.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's kind of one of the things that stopped me from coming back from wrestling too, is there's not a lot of people that I did it with around anymore.
Right.
It's that's true. I would kind of be like jumping into uncharted territory, I guess.
And do you really want to do that?
I've never been against it. You know me, I'm a people person.
No, I hear you. But I got to say this, Nunzio, I met him twice when I catered for Tommy Dreamer.
Yep.
I'm talking about a super guy, man.
Oh, he is.
You need any help, cleaning up or anything? Just let me know. I'm like, no, dude, I'm good. Thank you, though. You know what I mean?
So I don't know if this is a story for on air, but I'll never forget that me, him, and Kevin Quinn, we were doing a show in New Jersey. Nunzio wasn't on the show, but there was a mutual friend of Nunzio's on. He was doing the camera crew, and he was putting me, Kevin Quinn, and Sam Amato up at Makua, up at his house after. So we all go back to his house, and he mentions that we're in the same town that Nunzio lives, and he hangs out at this bar, and he shoots him a text. And he says, I'm at the bar, come down. Now we're on the way to the bar, and I said, hey, I'm only 19.
Right.
And, he goes, don't worry about it. So we just order a Coke or something. So we sit down, and Nunzio catches on to the fact that I'm 19, but he asked me if I want to drink.
Right.
I said, I'll have a drink. And at that point, he slid the bartender a $20 bill
To serve you.
to basically serve me. And I'll never forget that.
But you know, that I guarantee you that bartender knew that was a smooth move.
She knew him. She knew him, and we were in a nice, quiet town. It was a beautiful bar. You could oversee the New York skyline. It was definitely a nice bar, but I'll never forget that gesture that he, you know what I mean? Just so I could,
That's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? That just goes to show his character. And then from that, he came in and did a few shows for VCW for me and Jay. You know, he was very willing to, at that point, he had done one show for us, and that's how I had known him. And then that night, he mentioned he was very willing to come back, and, you know, we worked out a good price to have him in, and he was very happy to, he even told us, he was like, I would rather drive up and work somewhere near Boston, you know, for $500 than go do some convention for $1,000 where I have to sit there and sign in Philadelphia. Stay there for hours. And you know, he said, you guys, he goes, I can get in. He goes, you don't mind if I have a drink before I wrestle for 10 minutes? He goes, we all have drinks after. You pay me. I go back to New York. Everybody's happy. So you could tell that even with all the success he had, he still was finding a way to make money off of it and have a good time, which is good to see. He'd rather work smarter, not harder.
Nice.
Be where he wanted to be.
Nice. All right. So Robbie the Giant, I don't know, why didn't you hold on to the top rope, Joey Kilmartin? What does that mean?
So he greases them.
Oh.
Yeah. No, he greases them. Yeah. No, that's what I'm going with 10 years later. The story is that...
Were you wrestling Robbie?
We were in a Royal Rumble, I believe, or a Battle Royal, and I was supposed to be in the Final Four, not that, you know, wrestling's predetermined or anything.
And they told everyone to throw you out early.
No, I just, somebody threw me, and I remember reaching back and trying to grab the rope, and the rope was far gone, and the next thing I know that I was just on the floor. And the referee said, you're eliminated? And I said, no, I can't be.
I'm in the Final
I need to do things. So, and I just remember Robbie looking out at me like, you effing idiot. And then I think like...
why didn't you grab the top rope?
Everybody started to realize that I was on the outside as, you know what I mean?
So they had to make who was the guy that was going to be the fifth guy now became the fourth guy, right?
I have no idea.
I had to have been.
All I know is from my end, I went through the curtain and... you know, it definitely went off. It laughed at and more like, they better figure it out type of thing. But it was definitely, they made it work. They made it work for sure. I definitely still hear about it 10 years. Like even about 2 or 3 years ago, I went back and did some matches for NCW.
Yeah,
and that was
John,
7 years ago at that point, and people would still mention it. And I'm like, man, you guys, you blow one spot. 10 years
really
later.
Good though.
Robbie's amazing. And he's
very
he's doing
entertaining,
great.
man.
He's
very
great.
entertaining.
I loved working with Robbie. I've worked with Robbie plenty of times. And,
nice.
He's always been fun.
Yeah.
He's always been fun to work with.
Our good friend Dave Fournier came through with 5 questions.
Expect nothing less.
I know you're a big fan of GCW. What makes you like that promotion so much? Great question, Dave, because you're right.
Well, like I alluded to, it is probably the only thing I watch wrestling-wise. I have watched AEW, but even that, like I said, has become too mainstream for me.
Yep.
And, sorry. So, I kind of like the underground feel, and I don't know, there's something wrong with me. I like seeing how barbaric people will get with themselves.
Right. But that's what you like, though. So, I mean, it's, you know.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the death matches.
Yeah.
Plus, GCW tends to... There's one thing I've noticed is they keep a good variety of a show, whether it's a lucha match or they'll bring in girls from Japan, and they have something for everybody.
Right.
Even there might be a match where you have absolutely no interest in. You know, there's definitely been times where I've been to a show and not cared for a match that's gone on for 22 minutes, but they have something for everybody, and they are more geared to the death matches.
Yes.
So.
Have you met Schlack?
I've never met Schlack.
Dude, I want to meet Schlack. He's crazy, that guy.
Guy definitely looks insane.
Definitely.
Definitely looks insane.
And he's a tough son of a bitch.
He's working for that Rob Feinstein, XPW again.
Oh, really?
Which I don't know if you've...
Rob Black.
Rob Black, yeah. Is it? Yeah, it is Rob Black. God, wrestling has a lot of bad Robs.
Yeah. Listen, I like Rob fight. You know what I mean? He did me good by letting me, do some shows for him.
Yeah, but...
And then he lost it, and I totally didn't like him for that, but hey, each their own, man. I don't know,
Are they both porn directors, or which one?
No, Rob
Black is
Rob F. goes both ways. He's a switch.
But he got accused of touching children or something, right? And that was the big
It was in a chat thing with pervertjustice.com.
Yeah.
Where he said, I'll pretend you said 18 when the kid said that he was 15 or 14 or 16 or whatever.
Okay, so
he said, I'll pretend you said 18.
I knew there was something.
And then somebody made a video of him, right? Because they got a camera.
Yep.
As he walks to the house. And then the guy answers, not the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he runs to the car, and he had a Lexus. And guess what song they were playing? I ran so far away.
And that's why he lost Ring of Honor?
Yep.
All right, that makes sense.
Yep. So what happened originally was Doug took over, and it was like, that ain't happening. Okay. You know what I mean? And then Carrie Silken ended up buying the company.
Yep.
And Doug passed away, and friggin' Rob, I'd probably still be catering the Massachusetts shows if he still owned the company.
Call Tony Khan.
Yeah, well, they must. He has so much money, man. He must have catering. He's got to have catering.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I've been on indie shows these days that had catering. It's
right. All right. So Dave's got a couple more. Who are your favorite wrestlers in GCW? That's a great question.
Oh, I don't know. The one unpopular opinion I've always had about GCW that has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way is when they had the belt on Nick Gage.
Yep.
I kind of felt like that was a bad move. Just
he didn't need the belt, so it is a bad move. You should be elevating somebody else.
So not that. Here was what got me. I respect everything he's done. He's definitely made his mark in deathmatch wrestling. But I had a friend over and we were watching a GCW show. And he said to me, and I've never not had an argument for somebody I was trying to show wrestling before, and he said, so the world champion has no teeth? That's it. Well, yeah, he robbed a bank because of his drug addict. Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe that's not the guy for the world title. Then, I
hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
I heard, and actually I read somewhere, but they didn't say his name, that there was a wrestler from GCW that was on the side of the road, and the cops pull up on him, had a needle in his arm.
Oh, the G Raver thing.
Is that who that was?
The G Raver?
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't Nick Gage.
No, they had kind of cut ties with G Raver at that point. But, he was... I think it's not fair to say, oh, look at that deathmatch wrestler. They got a drug addiction. Like, yeah, look at these people are doing to their bodies.
Right. Well, look at the guy that works at a bank that's got a drug addiction.
Yeah. And it's like, you got to figure that anybody that's consistently doing death matches, they're going to be in some pain.
Of course. And, absolutely.
I'm not justifying their drug addiction.
No.
But it's not surprising. And I think that more fans should stand by people in their lower points than just chalk them up.
Yep.
And deathmatch wrestling has lost people due to drugs. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that there's a lot of good
Danny Havoc. He was one of the best hardcore, deathmatch wrestlers.
I don't think Marcus Crane died of drugs, but I know he had a brain tumor or something.
And then remember brain damage from CZW.
Yep.
I think he killed himself.
Yep.
Suicide.
And a good documentary for anybody that I think really goes into the mind of deathmatch wrestlers is God, I'm sure I'll think of the name as soon as we go off, but it was by Nick Mondo.
Oh yeah, I know it too.
It's on Amazon.
It's good.
It's really good.
It is good.
It's. I'm sure if you look up Nick Mondo's it's basically a documentary.
Yep.
But it's not because he explores other people. But there's a part in that where they're about to go out for like the tournament finals of a tournament of death, and I think it was brain damage. He looks at and he says, why do you do this? And he just says childhood trauma. And, and then he goes, why do you do it? And he goes, trying to fulfill something I haven't figured out yet. It's like, he's like, we both had that moment where we realized, like, no normal person is going to do this.
No doubt.
So it's like, I try to...
That's wild that brain damage said child trauma.
Yeah, and I don't think that, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons that people do it, but I think deathmatch wrestling is something that you really have to be maybe a little off or a little crazy or a little tougher than the most.
Right.
And back to Dave's questions, because I'm sure I floated away from that, but I don't really have a favorite GCW wrestler. I just think that
some of them are better than others.
I've never, even that.
I thought you liked Blake Christensen.
I think Blake Christian's one of the best wrestlers they have.
Yeah.
I think anybody that gives their body to a death match deserves a certain type of respect.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. Like I said, I'm not totally into the death match, scene.
Yeah.
But I watch it on video.
Yep.
All right, when will we see Justin Riker in the ring again? I think you already said that ain't happening, huh?
It's not happening. I would never say never.
Yep.
The idea definitely floats around occasionally.
Okay.
I don't think I've had my last match, but you never know. I don't know. Occasionally I'll see wrestling and I'll think that I want to get back to it. I've had a lot of friends in recent years that have wanted me to get back to it, especially, I mean, I'm a dad now, and I'd love for my son to see me wrestle.
I was just going to ask if you wanted that. So
it's definitely something I would like him to see, but
yeah,
I also don't, like I said, I'm not one at, as my marriage will show, I'm not one that's great at commitment. I don't like sitting still.
Dude, you're not the only one, brother, okay? Trust me. My marriage lasted like 2 years and 2 months.
Yeah, and
probably less than yours.
I'm not one to stay in one place, sit still, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm blessed to have the life I have. I can be a parent, I can escape, and I have a good job that lets me do what I need to do and travel when I need to. So it's like, that's the other thing is I'm at a point where I couldn't give up my job to commit to wrestling. Financially, that would just be a stupid move. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have another match locally. Maybe I'll do something with the local company. Maybe I'll join a school.
Hey,
who knows? You never know what my next move is.
Nice.
And I think anybody who knows me knows that.
Right.
Even I don't know what my next move is. So to say I would never wrestle again, I could say that, and then I could be
in the ring in a month,
taking bookings in 3 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
Joined the whole school and committed my whole life to indie wrestling again. But so you never know. But also the idea of me refereeing at this age, because I'm sure wrestling is probably akin to drinking. It's not like it was when you're 20. I'm almost 30 now, so I'm sure if, I took bumps.
Wow, you're almost 30?
I am. It's crazy.
Damn, I've known you since you were like 18, 17.
Probably about 16, yeah.
Wow. All right. So Dave says, favorite match. I don't know if it's your favorite match or favorite match you saw. So if you want to do both, that's up to you. Or you can, it's Dave, or you can give no answer if you want. Just kidding, Dave. I'm just kidding.
I've never even really thought about it. I mean, my favorite match I ever had would probably be...
Against Bo?
No.
No?
No offense to Bo. God, I couldn't even think of it.
All right, then what about...
I wrestled Christian Casanova.
Nice. And, Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, I would say that was probably the one match that if I had to show my kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'd be cool to show.
Yeah, I mean...
He's incredible.
Yeah.
He really is, man.
And I mean, it was in his first year, and even then you knew he was...
Right.
Everything.
Oh, I can imagine. The first time I saw him, he was pretty damn good.
Yeah, everything we wanted to do, he was right there for without hesitation or question.
And a great guy, man.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
Great guy.
He was, you know what I mean, very...
Yeah. Dude, listen to this.
Very calm and very professional about the whole
When I was doing the concessions at APW, he came up. He was in town for Johnny Vegas's retirement match.
Okay.
And I'm getting my hot dog machine ready, and Maria goes, Leo, someone's here for you. I turn, I go, who? And he's hiding. She goes, I don't know. So I'm walking up, and it was, Christian. And I'm like, what's up? He goes, oh, man, I knew you were here. I had to at least come over and say hi before the doors opened.
Yeah, he's a very good kid. He's a very good,
dude,
very humble.
So cool, though, And I threw Maria under the bus. I said, look at him. How do you not know him? Every week I point to him and show you he's on TV. And you're going to sit there and you didn't know who it was.
Yep.
That's how much she pays attention to what I say.
It's good to see success come out of New England,
Yes. Too. Oh, yeah. But Josh Briggs, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely...
Dijak?
Yeah, it's weird. NXT is basically like an episode. It's like a chaotic wrestling show from 2013.
Dude, Dijak just took on Christian the other night. Was it Christian? Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
On NXT?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That must have been something to see.
Incredible,
I
man.
saw recently they had Kofi versus Ivar.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was incredible. You know something? That might be the match. That might be the match that I just said the other one. I think it was that one that I meant.
To see that on SmackDown.
Yeah. I didn't see Christian and Dijak. I'm pretty sure they didn't wrestle yet.
Yep. I mean,
it
that
was
would
that
be
one, though.
But Kofi and Ivar on SmackDown is kind of one of those things where you're just like, okay.
I read about it, and everybody says it was an incredible match. And I have it on the DVS, so I am going to go watch it.
I guess they did that like Vikings rules thing.
Oh,
so
nice, where they put that stuff around the ring.
They're putting a lot of money. Yeah, I saw it, and they're putting a lot of money into Ivar's character, where they have the whole. They basically changed the whole arena now for it to look like a Vikings.
And most tag team wrestlers get left to the side.
Yeah,
really.
Yep.
And he's wrestling every week.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's good to see.
You know, Todd is, and he's a guy that, and I've said this a million times here, but I'll say it again: lesser men would have quit.
Absolutely.
Everything that guy had to go through to make it to the WWE.
Yeah. No, Todd is, he's resilient is an understatement. Tough is an understatement.
Right.
And I'm sure that, like you said, his run, he's never going to be WWE champion, but I hope that he's able to cement a solid legacy.
I think he will.
There's nothing cooler than seeing somebody you grew up with have an action figure.
Yeah.
That's kind of the, I think everybody has that, like, but I remember walking in Walmart with my son being a baby, and we came across an Ivar action figure.
Nice.
And I bought it for my son, and he's still in his room, but it's like, you know, you don't get to see people come to life.
Yeah, you don't get to buy toys of people that you know.
You don't get to see people come to life like that too often. And it was incredible. I don't think I've bought an action figure since I was like 9.
Right.
But the detail that they put into that.
It's amazing. The action figures now, they're dead on.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then it's funny because I saw Malonis, and I don't know if you've seen Malonis' Wrestle Buddy.
No, I haven't.
So I thought it was Conrad Thompson. I'm like, is that your face? Are you sure? Like, I remember asking him, I'm like, I think that's Conrad Thompson.
That's hilarious.
So, you know, some of them can be so good, and there can be misses out there for sure. But it's cool to see everybody get the products, and even the merchandise that people are showing on.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff you can make nowadays, like...
You know, I went out and I bought, like, the first MJF action figure, and a couple other ones I bought, you know, AEW. I didn't buy the whole set. I bought MJF too, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And you never know what they're going to be worth.
No,
those LJNs, like Hogan,
the old school
they were
LJNs,
thousands of dollars in mint condition.
I remember saying when they first released the AEW action figures, like, I want to try to get the set. Like, I didn't buy a single one, but if I was smart, you would have bought the set. You bought the set. Give that 10 years, that set will be worth something.
True.
Especially if the whole set in mint condition. And the way people do signings nowadays. You know what I mean? You get all of those autographed.
Yep. All right. So we got one more from Dave. Did you read his questions?
I did not.
It has to do with referencing the Micro Wrestling Federation.
Okay. I've done one micro.
Any truth that the Micro Wrestling Federation has any interest in you?
No, not that I've been contacted about.
Dave, you big jerk.
I did one show as the. It was a very fun spot, I will admit.
Yeah.
Where I think it was Brian Knobs was doing that Micro Wrestling Federation on Spike TV.
Dude, he's like 6'5".
But he had a group of midgets.
Oh, okay.
And he brought them to Everett one time, and they booked me and David Grimes, who's Giant Pharaoh, on the show. Which I immediately thought, like, all right, why are we doing this midget show? you're 7'3".
Yeah,
and I'm not a midget.
Right.
And I was like, but
that you wrestled the midgets.
But they're going to pay good. So they ended up having me go out and cut a promo as the world's tallest midget. And I basically,
oh my God,
I beat up 5 other midgets.
Yeah.
And then Giant Pharaoh came out.
Oh, and whooped your
and
ass.
chokeslammed me. And then stood tall with the midgets.
Yeah.
And that is my only involvement with midget wrestling. I think that I'm a little too tall. Unfortunately,
because the tallest midget.
I know.
That's awesome.
I mean, I would make the money if they're looking to hire me. If
Right.
Dave knows something I don't know, I'll give him a finder's fee.
And so that's what Giant Pharaoh's name is, Dave Grimes.
Yes, he's wrestled under the name Grimes before. I
Yeah.
always called him Dave Grimes.
Big dude.
Very big dude.
Huge.
Yeah, unnecessarily tall.
Well, I hope he played basketball growing up.
I don't know if he did, but I'm sure that you don't waste talent like I do.
All right, so we got 11 minutes and 20 seconds, and I'm just going to throw some GCW roster names at you.
Sure, throw anybody's name at me you want.
Speedball, Mike Bailey.
Speedball's very entertaining to watch. He's definitely one of those versatile wrestlers.
Yeah.
I would say is the best word.
I wouldn't think he had a lot of personality, but he does when he wrestles.
He looks like he's having a good time.
Right.
His strikes are the one thing that stand out to me. You see a lot of indie wrestling, and the strikes are just garbage.
Right.
But Speedball's, he's got solid strikes.
All right. How about El Hijo del Vikingo?
A lot of hype, a lot of botch.
Yeah, a lot. I would imagine.
A lot of botch.
Makes sense that he'd botch a lot, honestly.
It's hard, and a lot of people say it's because he doesn't work with the people he works with in AAA, but it's like it's his job to learn who he's working with and what they can take and what they, you know what I mean? A lot of his stuff is it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
If you miss it, it's going to look like trash.
Yeah.
And it is on the other guy a lot of the time. That is the Lucha Libre style.
Right.
But, I mean, he's very athletic.
Yeah. Very.
But it's just, I've never been blown away by his matches like I think people are.
Right. I seen him do a move where he, from one end of the ring, and he climbed the ropes, and he flipped over, and he hit the back of his head on the ring. I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
I've seen like 3 or 4 of his matches live, and I've thought, like, okay, that wasn't a great match.
Right.
But then you'll see somebody make a highlight reel of it, and
it's
it looks
amazing.
great.
It does look
amazing. And it's like, all right, well, that's what his niche is.
All right, well, speaking of that, we're going to stick with that spot monkey type wrestler and go with Commander. They wrestled each other.
Okay, he's the other. The only thing I can really say is I've only seen him in person one time. I've seen him on TV a few times.
Right.
But, he's my height.
Is he really?
Yeah, he is
No
like
kidding.
5'4", 5'5" at most.
Wow.
And it threw me off because I did not think he was my size.
Right.
And it shows the power of television.
Yeah.
Because he's got maybe 15, 20 pounds on me.
Wow, I didn't realize he was that. Yeah.
He is my height.
No kidding.
Like,
he's in the ring with a guy his height or a little shorter.
He was standing next to Alec at a show I was at, and I went up and I saw Alec, and I gave him. Alec is very tall, yeah. But I made it a point to like get close to Commander, and I'm like, he's not tall. And Alec was like, he is not.
Right.
And I'm like, I thought he was like 5'10", 5'11".
That's
But
wild.
no, shorter guy.
Right.
Good worker. I've only seen one match live, and he does that rope walk.
Yeah.
Which that's all I know. But like I said.
Well, speaking, I brought up like those guys. I want to bring up a guy that's like from around here.
Sure.
Flip Gordon. And before you say anything, I talked to somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they told me that one of the reasons why he was so good aerial-wise, balance.
Well, it's because
he has great balance.
Yeah, well, it's because he thinks the Earth is flat.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's kind of.
Oh, come on, Flip.
It's kind of a space shot, but it's easy to balance when there's a lot of oxygen in your brain, I guess. But,
did you know he had some MMA fights? He told the story here.
Did he win?
He lost the first one, won the second one. He only had 2. But, like, he took each fight on, like, 5-day notice.
Sometimes that's the way to do it. You know what I mean? But
he's a good worker, though. And I'm surprised he ain't on television.
He's very athletic. Well, like I said, I think he's gotten he was very controversial with his stances.
Yeah,
on
no, I
just
know.
the
Yeah.
flat earther
Yeah.
and the election, and it's a good example of if you're in the entertainment industry, sometimes just shut up.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Let's go through a few more names.
All right. Mitch Warner.
I really don't
Okay.
even know. I mean, he's
I know one.
he reminds me of an old school, almost a Bruiser Brody character.
Okay. Cool.
But, you know, he's done some death matches, but I think anybody can brawl.
Right. All right. How about Tony Deppen, who can brawl and wrestle?
Tony Deppen's a great wrestler.
Not very big either.
Back when I was doing my, I had a beer show on YouTube for a hot minute back when I was drinking, but I got to try some of the beer he makes.
Nice.
And he makes good beer. He's a good wrestler, so he's overall a talented guy.
Yeah.
I'll say that about Tony Deppen, and he definitely has a future in wrestling. Whether
Absolutely.
he chooses to pursue it or stay where he's at, it's up to him.
Yep. And here's our mainstay at GCW, Jimmy Lloyd.
Oh, he seems like a guy that's just having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was friendly with AG. He came up and
Yeah.
did a couple of AG shows.
Yep.
You know?
He seems like a guy that's just having a good time. He
Yeah.
doesn't look like he's out to make it.
Right.
But he can fill any spot. He's done death matches. And he looks like a bag of crap, but every time you see him wrestle, he surprises me,
Yeah.
for sure.
No, I hear you. Jimmy's a pretty good worker. He
Yeah,
is. You're
he
right.
is, yeah.
But it doesn't come out like polished.
No, it's kind of that...
Rough around the edges.
Yeah, I wish I could give a good example, but he's almost like a Axel Rotten.
Yeah,
type
no,
of
I can see.
guy,
Yeah, I can
or
see that.
A
Yeah.
Balls Mahoney when Balls
Yep.
Mahoney would have a random good match type
Right.
of thing.
No, that's a very, very good comparison. How about Jordan Oliver? Kid, that's impressed me.
Definitely got a good future in the business. Seems to be keeping his head on straight. Yeah, I think he'll end up. I think Impact is probably his next move, or what's
Nice.
going to be TNA. Did you see that?
No, what the?
Impact is reverting back to TNA, I guess.
Why?
I guess they feel that people miss the original branding. I don't know.
Wow, that's crap. If that works for him, though, that's cool.
Yeah,
you know what I
see
mean.
how that goes.
Wow. All right, how about Effie?
I think Effie is great.
Can work.
I have
with anyone.
I have a friend who she's bisexual, and
Yep.
Effie is the only reason I ever got her to watch wrestling. She loved the whole Effie
Yep.
is gay and
Yep.
alley catch, and
Yep.
I think that shows a lot to Effie's that
Cross her off.
he brings a lot. He makes people feel included and welcome in an environment.
Right.
It's good to see that the whole wrestling is gay.
Yeah.
It's a unique thing.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
It's good to see that he's found a way to make it inclusive for everybody in
Right.
such what would normally be a hardcore environment.
Right.
You can be of any LGBT status, and because of Effie, you can now enter more wrestling shows.
Now,
than you
does he
normally
have this gay brunches more? Like, I know he had a couple.
I think he only does them with GCW at their,
Oh, okay.
like when they do like WrestleMania weekend and stuff like that.
And
but
hey, man, he can work. I tell you that.
It's the gay brunches are good too for anybody that's in that status
Yeah.
that's trying to find
LGBTQ
yeah,
and
they're
stuff.
trying to get more exposure, and
Absolutely.
they won't necessarily get on a GCW show, but that platform allows them to maybe get more exposure to build themselves up. I think it's an awesome thing.
Right.
And,
And
they-
that gives a shit. You don't have to go to that show if you don't want.
Yep, and
If it was
GCW
around here, I'd go.
it's just
I
a
would.
wrestling show, and it's
Exactly.
a wrestling show like no other. And GCW is very good with that. They also do For the Culture,
Oh, okay.
which is an exclusive African American or black
Yeah.
wrestling
A group
show.
for, like,
Yeah, and they have, you know what I mean? They have some unique title. It's the
Yep.
Pan-African title or something like
Nice.
that. I think Willow Nightingale just lost it to Sugar Dunkerton or something.
Oh, wow.
But it shows that it's giving people that don't usually get exposure on a next level.
Right.
And then if they are good enough to capitalize that, they'll end up on the main GCW shows. So it's good that they're finding ways to kind of
Right.
have their niche audience too.
All right, well, I got a couple of hardcore legends I'm going to bring up. First, Matt Tremont.
He seems
a nice guy.
He seems like a really nice guy.
He
seems
is.
like everything I've seen too. He does a ton down there for wrestling.
Yeah.
He has his own promotion.
Yeah. H2O.
H2O.
Yeah.
He runs a school, and he seems to take pride in a lot of his students.
I met him at the first Icons of Pro Wrestling convention.
Yep.
He couldn't have been nicer.
No,
he really couldn't
he's,
have been.
He's had some good matches too. Like I remember before I started seeing Deathmatch Wrestling live, I'd follow his feud with Onita when he was going over to Japan.
Yeah, he had a good match against Cannonball too. I saw
Jeff Cannonball. It's funny you mentioned Jeff Cannonball. I saw him last week, and he had mentioned to me that a VCW show that Jay had brought him in for was the first time he had gigged.
Wow.
And I was like, wait a minute, I thought you'd been doing death matches for years. And he's like, no, I've been wrestling for years. I didn't gig until 2016. And now he's doing a ton of death matches and stuff.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, that's funny. I didn't know, like, we were the first show.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you guys didn't care. You were like, get hit with a chair and cut yourself if you want. And I was like, sure. And all right.
That's
like,
awesome.
Well, created a monster, I guess.
But he is a great guy, man. And LaFisto.
I don't know a lot of her work.
Don't?
I've seen her matches. I've never seen her do death matches. I know she was in CZW way back in the day.
Yeah.
I know she lost a title to Kevin Owens. I heard like a story or an interview about that, but I don't know too much about Mephisto.
Nick Wayne, the kid.
Oh, he's blowing up for sure.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Seriously.
He's blowing up for sure, and it's good to see.
Yeah, it is good to see. You're right. How about Willie Mack?
I've only seen him wrestle once.
Okay, so we'll skip.
Yeah, I didn't. He didn't. You know. He wrestled.
Jun Kasai.
I didn't know who he was until maybe a year or so ago.
Monkey.
But yes, I saw him in person for the first time. People went nuts when he unveiled himself, and you can tell he's one of those people that a lot of people describe him as a modern day. It's like seeing Terry Funk in the 90s.
Yeah,
and,
that makes sense.
And then I guess he started doing some stuff with New Japan.
Yep.
So he's able to really go mainstream, and it showed that he really is the deathmatch guy in Japan.
Right.
So.
How about the couple of GCW, the Kirks, Brandon and Casey Kirk?
I've only seen more of Casey's work than Brandon's, but Casey
she does hardcore.
She's a tough little girl.
Ooh, yeah, she is.
But Leo, it looks like we're running out of time.
That's it, kid.
It's been great coming on, and I always have a blast, Leo. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you on anytime you want. You know that.
Like I said,
you actually hit me up and like, hey, so I did a double show.
Yeah, I'm right around the corner, so anytime we can make it work, Leo.
Sounds good, brother. Thank you. Guys, we're out. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.